Hey guys, what is up? My name is Philbo. I've been playing Undecember since its global launch in 2022. It's been my favorite Diablo alternative ever. And with that being said, I remember and I acknowledge that the game had some major issues at launch, namely the inventory issues, which basically forced players to purchase stash tabs from the get go. And then also the other issue was the pet system. Undecember's auto loot feature is tied to having a pet, and it's also the way that you conveniently sell and disassemble gear in the middle of dungeons. Unfortunately, for a lot of players, this was a major pain point as you essentially had two options of getting the pet. The first was you pay for it. Obvious issue there. A lot of people don't want to pay for an auto loot feature. And then the second was you could sell things on the auction house. So work the auction house. Now, there are individuals who love working auction houses in game. They're few and far between. Most players want to play the game. Working the auction house is kind of counter to the game, and it's a chore to a lot of people. They don't want to have to do it. So those were the two options. Serious downsides to both for a lot of people. Other individuals, no big deal. I'll just pay for it, or I'll work the auction house. But it was a major issue to a lot of people, and I totally get it. Now, to the entire reason for the video. The pet feature is going to be completely free, and the inventory situation has been significantly improved upon to the point where I think it's probably a non-issue. So let's go ahead and talk about the pet news first, since it's a big deal. So in a recent game update, the new Line Games December game director introduced himself and mentioned that not having a pet does not align with the broader principle of convenience, and that from season 3 and on, the pet system will be free. Not a bad first decree from the new director. Now, when is season 3? Season 3 is going to start probably sometime either right at the end of December or in the beginning of January. So this feature is not yet in the game, but it is coming to us. It's huge news. I'm really excited to see what else this director has in store for us here in Undecember. So he made mention of the principle of convenience. I just take that to mean they're going to keep adding more things to the game to make it more convenient. And I think I have seen over the past like half a year, I've seen quite a few things where I can point to and say, yes, they have made this specific area more convenient. What else is this guy going to do to make the game better? I don't know, but I am excited. Let's move on and address the issue of inventory space. When I first came to the game, your bags were like around 125 spots, total inventory slots, and it simply was not enough. The game threw tons and tons of enchanting material and rune growth material at you, and like honestly, like between those two things, it would fill up at least half of your bag. And then there were other various items that were just in your bag. And within 5 minutes of going out and hacking, slashing, and doing your questing, you'd have to portal back to town and dump your loot, unless you had the pet. So not the best experience, but that's what it was, right? So two major improvements have been made to inventory that I can point to. The first is an obvious improvement. They've bumped everybody's inventory space up to 300, and it is noticeable. It is a massive improvement. The second improvement doesn't seem quite as obvious, and it's not going to help everyone out, and I'll explain why. The second major improvement is the new game mode that they just came out with called Origin. Now, what is Origin? Origin is a new game mode that just came out in Season 2. August 31st is when this launched. It's separate from the regular game mode in that there's no enchanting at all. So, you are not having to pick up enchanting material. Alternatively, you're picking up extra gear. So, you don't enchant gear, you get gear drops, and whatever drops is what you get. So, that's why it's helpful on the inventory. If you're not going to buy the stash immediately, the stash tabs, then it's a whole lot easier to manage that than having to manage all these enchanting essences from your stash inventory that the game gives you. So you're essentially just dealing with gear drops. and I'm loving it. I absolutely am digging this Origin game mode, and it's been giving me like some really, really nice Diablo 2 vibes, classic Diablo 2. Because if you've actually played Diablo 2, a lot of us have, and if you played classic mode, not Lords of Destruction, you recall that any single rare that dropped could have been an upgrade for a lot of your slots. Undecember Origin mode is the same way. Anything that drops could be a potential upgrade. And when you see that red beam shoot into the air, that indicates a legendary piece, and it's something that you use, you get a serious endorphin rush. You know, this is what action RPGs are all about to me. Running dungeons over and over again with the anticipation of getting some seriously sexy loot, man. But anyways, what I'm trying to say is that this game does that really, really well, especially in this game mode. One downside of the Origin game mode, though, is that you're not going to get as powerful as you would in the standard game mode. In the standard game mode, you enchant gear and you get it as close to perfection as you possibly can. You're able to recraft upon the same piece over and over and over and over again and make it really nice. In Origin mode, you get what you get. The only way to target gear right now is through the Gambler, and it's not as good as enchanting. Like, you're not going to get as many shots at a good piece. So that is the downside. However, like I said, they are separate instances, and you're not competing against standard players. Origin players they're concerned with Origin players. So that's that. As far as I know, what happens at the end of the season is that those Origin characters get rolled into the standard game, so the non-seasonal game. One thing I will say, if you are a new player, I highly recommend playing the Origin game mode over standard game mode, as enchanting can be a little bit overwhelming to players who are new to the action RPG genre. Now, if you're coming from a game that you're used to doing crafting in, like Path of Exile or some other action RPGs that have crafting in it, then it won't be as big a deal. But it's far easier to grasp some of the other concepts in the game if you're not having to worry about enchanting. It is far more straightforward. All right, so let's move on. There's a couple more things I wanted to talk about real quickly. The director also mentioned that there's going to be a bunch of changes made to physical skills. The current state of the game with physical skills is that they're just not that good. They don't scale nearly as well as elemental builds do. I can probably count on one hand how many top tier physical skills there are in the game, and that would be like if I was missing four of my fingers. There's like one really, really good physical skill. The rest of them not near as good. I still play physical ability and I'm able to play the game and do pretty much all the content, but they're just not near as strong. So the director acknowledged that there's an issue with physical abilities. They're going to be reworking a lot of them to be more viable. And then also, he mentioned that a lot of the uniques will be reworked to be more relevant and actually give opportunity to create entire builds based around specific uniques. So this is going to give us more variety within building our character, more builds that could potentially come out. You know, more interesting builds is always a good thing. So uniques are going to get a rework. That's pretty much everything I wanted to touch upon. We got the free pet coming to us. That is a big, big win, really big deal. Origin game mode was introduced. Absolutely love it. I can't wait for next season because I started like 2 weeks late in this one, but I've still been having fun nonetheless. But I can't wait for next season to start Origin mode from the get-go. And then third, the updates to physical abilities and uniques. I'm just really excited about everything that we have going on. But what do you guys think? You know, what are your thoughts? Are y'all happy with these changes? What else do you think we could do to improve the game? What else is there that the new director could put into place? I know for me, one of the things that I do not like is the bi-weekly battle pass. It's like $10 every 2 weeks. I think that we need change there. That I think needs to be changed to like monthly, maybe even just seasonal. Like there's one purchase once a season, every 2 weeks, $10. Come on, like this is a bit much. The other thing that I think could be added to the game, which would be a really, really nice win, would be adding a solo self-bound feature. Let's add a solo self-bound feature that eliminates any pay to win element. And so people who want to come in and play the game to compete can do that. Perfect, right? So those are two things that I think we could also improve upon with the game. But what do you guys think? I want to hear from y'all. Drop some comments. Let me know what you're thinking. But if you've liked the video, please give me a like and a subscribe. It helps me so much. But thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it. I'm going to get back to the grind.